What's up, everybody? Y'all know the business. I'm back again with another YouTube video. Today I want to give you an update on my Bubble Tip Anemone Tank for September 2018. Now, if you are not a subscriber to the channel, you're not part of the movement, please go ahead, hit that subscribe button below, hit that bell so you're notified whenever I release a new video, and thank you for watching the channel. So my Bubble Tip tank has really been thriving the last couple of months. I'm really liking the progress this tank has made, and it's hard for me to determine which is my most favorite tank, the 180-gallon tank or this 30-gallon Bubble Tip tank. So first off, the tank survived a treatment of ChemiClean. Now, if you've been following the channel, you know that I've been trying to make up my mind if I want to go ahead and do a treatment of ChemiClean. I finally went ahead and did that. Nothing bad happened in this tank from that treatment, so I'm pretty happy about that. Whenever I do ChemiClean, I'm always worried about the livestock in my tank, so I'm normally scared for a few days, and then after that everything is alright. So the ChemiClean treatment went pretty good. Now also, there's been a lot of changes to the 180-gallon tank that has affected this tank. In fact, while I was completely redoing the rockscape on a third of my tank in the 180-gallon, I went ahead and moved a lot of corals over to this Bubble Tip Anemone tank. Luckily, none of the bubble tips moved during that time, so I really didn't have to worry about stings to the other corals. But now, most of those corals, if not almost all of those corals, have been removed from the Bubble Tip tank back to the 180-gallon tank. So now it is truly, once again, a Bubble Tip tank. But with a little caveat there, because I'll tell you in a second a few things that have changed with this tank. Now, one of the cooler things that have happened over the last couple of months is that the bubble tips are now hosting the clownfish. Now, they don't spend all of their time in the Bubble Tip anemones, but they do spend a lot of time, and they sleep in the anemones at night. So when I first put the clowns in here, they really wanted nothing at all to do with the Bubble Tip anemones. So I'm happy now in the last couple of months, they have slowly started to adjust to living within the bubble tips. And as time goes on, I see them spend more and more and more time in the anemones. Now, I have changed up the Bubble Tip tank just slightly. At first, the idea was just to have bubble tips in this aquarium. I went from having anemones in this tank to having zoanthids and Bubble Tip anemones into this tank. And now I've added another type of coral. I've added my meat corals from my 180-gallon tank to my Bubble Tip tank. Now, the reason that I've done this is my large green meat coral that I call Green Monster started to have a little tissue regression in my 180-gallon tank. Well, my 180-gallon tank is primarily an SPS tank, so the flow's pretty heavy. There's a lot of things there that would not really be good for that meat coral. So I decided to move the meat corals over here. Now, like I said earlier, my green meat coral is starting to have some tissue loss on it. So I'm trying to save this. I've saved a different type of meat coral before by using this method, by using Sept Reef dip in order to kind of cleanse and disinfect that area. I've lost probably about a third of the flesh in this coral right now, so I'm hoping that I can rescue it. The mouth is still intact, so we'll see what happens, but that's what I've been doing. My other meat coral is in the tank, and it is expanded out nicely. I'm really liking how these meat corals look in this tank. Adds a little bit more flavor to it. As far as other corals moving in and out of this tank, I've also removed a large rock of utter chaos. So I have utter chaos going all through my 180-gallon tank. So I had a large rock that used to belong in there that I went ahead and traded for a couple of other types of zoanthids. So those are currently in quarantine. You'll see those zoanthids move into this tank here probably within the next month or so. So probably the coolest thing that's happened to this tank recently is my large rainbow anemone that I call Rainbow Magic has split, not into one, not into two, but 3 different anemones. So now I have 3 clones of Rainbow Magic, and I really love this anemone. It's probably one of the nicest anemones that I've seen around my area as far as rainbows. So That's split into 3 times, or 3 different parts, so we'll see what happens with that. They're starting to move over the tank. One thing I do like about my Bubble Tip Anemone tank is I'm really not scared if they wander around, because typically they'll only wander around on the rocks, and nothing else is on the rocks but Bubble Tip Anemones. So that's a pretty good setup for this tank. And that way, like I said, I'm not worried about them moving around. And I do expect them to move around a little bit, that they just recently split. Well, that's it for the Bubble Tip Anemone for September 2018. Like, comment, subscribe. I do have a question for my audience here about trying to save this large green meat coral. Like I said, I've been using Sept Reef dip. If you have any suggestions for trying to save a meat coral that's had some tissue loss, let me know in the comments.